Do you like this shirt?
I love that shirt, actually.
You like it?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't released it. I've just been like, I doodle. And I was like, you know what? I want to like do my own illustrations for my merch.
The last thing I got was the boobs, the boobs.
Yeah,
when that
yes.
lady messaged you and you're like, I'll turn this into something. I've gotten one of the shirts. I've loved you forever.
Stop.
And I found you on Facebook back when you first started doing your Steven.
No.
I was like, who is this heifer? Because she is hilarious. And my daughter was like, ain't she funny, Mom? She funny. And I was just set for life. I was like, I don't care what she does. I'm supporting everything she does. And because I don't know, I just knew you was good. I knew you was one of those good people. And I can just kind of tell when somebody is and when they're just not who they are online. And I knew instantly. I was like, oh no, she's a comedian, but she's good. So that's why.
You feel like you can tell.
Uh-huh.
Right? Mm-hmm. What is that? Why is it so obvious?
I think it's discernment, tell you the truth. I think it's discernment because, it's kind of tricky with social media because a lot of people play characters.
Yeah.
And then they tell you, it's a character. A lot of people are much different on the camera than they are outside. I remember the first person who crushed me as far as social media was back in 2021, and I just started my social media, and I'd gotten invited to a show with Jay Leno, and so they flew me out here, and this was all very new to me. I was like, what is happening, But anyway, I seen one of my favorite influencers of all time in LA, and they were not what they were online. I was
bitchy,
very standoffish, snobbish, like I was bothering them, like I was a burden to them.
No.
Like I was crushed because I've been supporting my favorite influencers and creators, whatever you'd like to call them, for years because I appreciated them. They made me laugh. They made me giggle. They entertained me. I love to support those people like that.
Yeah.
And with her, she was she was in the beauty world, and I know those can be kind of tricky and stuff like that, but she was just not what I expected her to be, and I thought, wow, that hit me in my face because I really thought I was supporting somebody. I have been in Walmart and not even brushed my teeth yet with my wig half on, and somebody asked for a picture, and I will never tell you no.
No, literally.
No, why would I?
I've been on social media for almost 10 years now, and I've not once been sick of someone coming up. Like, people go, do you get annoyed? I go, genuinely no. It reminds me of why I do it, because I forget. I forget that anyone watches my videos ever.
Same.
And then you leave, you go to Target, and you're like, oh, wow, you actually got something from my content. This is amazing, and you want to hug them and ask them their name, and
because without them
we'd be homeless.
I would not have what I have today.
We'd be living in the alleyway.
But I appreciate them, and I want them to know that I appreciate them. And it crushed me. But that's when I started to pay attention to things a little more deeper after that happened with me. Because when I say my heart was broken, it was broken.
Who was it?
Felt,
Ophelia?
I'm telling you, I don't want to. I don't want
After?
to. I will be. Oh, definitely.
Can you guys take a guess in the comments? Who was the dumb bitch she met?
But I tried, and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I suck at it, and I
suck at what?
With my discernment, with having discernment, because I'll believe somebody I get scammed quite a bit with, can I have $100 to pay my power bill? It's about to get cut off.
Ophelia.
And so I had to stop that. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to help people that I find organically, people that the good Lord in the universe wants me to see that day.
Whoa.
And once I started doing it that way, I haven't been scammed since. But you have to you just got to be careful. Some people are just full of shit, and they're not who they say they are.
So real quickly, I'm here with Ophelia Nichols, who you go by Mama Tot.
Yeah, they nicknamed me Mama Tot.
Why?
Because, so when I created the TikTok account, the only reason I created this account is because I had teenagers. They kept sending me these funny TikToks because they know I'm a big comedy lover. I love comedy. And I thought, well, let me just make an account so I can be nosy like everybody else and watch.
Yeah.
So I threw a username together, which is ShoeLover99. That's only because I'm a huge shoe fanatic. Like I've been that way my entire life. So I just threw the username together, moved on about my business. And I had been in the furniture world 15 years.
Been in the what world?
Furniture world.
Okay.
Loved it. Sold furniture. I worked at the main distribution warehouse. I wore many hats there with 15 years. So I was not trying to become a creator. I wasn't trying to do anything. I was very content with my life.
Just furniture, shoes, some kids. We're chilling.
That's it.
Okay.
I was very happy.
Where is this?
In Mobile, Alabama.
Oh, Mobile, Alabama. Okay.
Like I was explaining, it's like as south as you can go, right there on the Gulf of Mexico.
Okay.
But I was on break one day, and I come across a video of this young girl, I don't know, probably 16, 17 years old. She got a new dress from the mall, and all she wanted to do was come home and show her mom, look at this new dress. And when I tell you she looked amazing, she looked amazing.
Yeah.
But the reaction she had gotten from her mom was completely different. It was, you're too big for that. You need to take it back.
Wow.
That looks ugly. It was everything that she didn't want to get from her mom. She needed support is what she needed.
Yeah.
I called my daughter and I said, I need you to show me how to make a TikTok quick, fast, in a hurry. And I didn't know it was called a stitch at the time. And I'm telling my daughter, I'm like, I needed to show her video first and then me. And she was like, oh, that's a stitch. You do it like, we went on FaceTime, she showed me. I needed to get to her quick, fast, in a hurry.
Wow.
I was determined to say what I needed to say to this young girl. So I set the phone up in the break room. They had kind of like a high countertop. And I started that video, I don't know why, but I started that video off with, hey, my little tater tot. And I proceeded with telling her, I think you look lovely in your dress. And I used to have a mom like that too. And it was very sweet. And she needed that. She needed a mom to say what I was saying to her.
And you had a mom like that too?
Oh yeah. And I said that. And I hit the post button, put my phone down on my desk, and I went back to work. Within 30 minutes, I realized what going viral looked like.
Wow.
My phone was going like nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is happening? And I look at my phone, and I think after 30 minutes, it was almost at 1 million views or at 1 million. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Are these people going to be mean to me or something? Because I wasn't used to it. And I opened up the comment section, and the number one comment I would see was, I feel safe here. I wish my mom would have talked to me like that. It was all of these comments, because this was back early 2020 or late 2020, like November, December.
Okay.
And you got to think about it. Back during that time, there was a lot of stressed out people. They're going through the election crap. People's fighting, arguing. The internet is just wild, and there's a lot of people. Just COVID,
pandemic,
everything.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mental health struggles that were going on.
Big time,
okay.
yeah.
And when I seen them comments, I said, okay, well, that's what I'll do. I'll use this account and do just that. I'll help people feel better about themselves. I'll make sure they know that somebody cares, even if it's just a 60-second video telling you that I'm proud of you. I mean that.
Yeah.
And I just went with it. And that account just grew as fast as I don't know what. Like, it was so quick, I couldn't even keep up. It was massive.
Yeah.
Within a year, I think I'd already gotten up to 4 million, and now it's a little over 12 million. And I just hit about, I think I've been on there since August of 2020. So you can tell, like, I created that account in August 2020, and by November, December, because it was around that time, that's when that video. So because I call my followers my tater tots, they named me Mama Tot, which is fine with me.
It's funny. It's like, it's not surprising to me at all, because it's like you said, it's authentic, You didn't have a mom that gave you that love, right? Oh my God, I'm PMSing, so I'm going to cry. Just FYI, like at least 6 times on this podcast, I will be crying.
I don't think I've ever been on any podcast where I didn't cry, so I'm in it with you.
Okay, cool. But yeah, it's like, you didn't do it to get famous. I think that, right? You didn't do it to get attention, which I think, and it's like, for me, my version of that is like, I knew I was really good at being a clown and making people laugh. So let me figure out a way to do that on a bigger scale because it's like what I'm good at, and that is so your gift.
Well, it all came to me when that happened and when the account was growing like that, and the messages I would receive and the comments I would receive, because nothing about me has changed. I've always did this. I've given my last $10 to somebody and decided I was going to struggle just to make sure they was okay. Like I was always the friend that everybody came to for advice. I was always this. But that platform, and as large as it is, allows me to reach more people at a time.
Oh, yeah.
So, correct, I do believe that is my purpose, that is my gift. I even go as far as saying that every single thing I've been through thus far has given me, because I don't speak on things that I don't have experience in or knowledge about. So I speak on my life. Yeah. And if you look at the comments section, you'll always see, I don't know how she knows I needed to hear this. Well, I do know, because I lived it and I've been through that. And I was you back in 2010, or I went through this in 2003. Wow. So I speak on, there's nothing that I don't talk about, like on my social media. I'm very open. If I make a mistake, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you I did. If I was an asshole to somebody, I'll apologize and still admit I was an asshole.
You're so humble and so self-aware. It's incredible. And
yeah, I try to be.
Yeah. Where do you think that comes from?
My dad, definitely. Really? Oh my goodness.
So were you close with him?
Oh yeah, until he passed. He passed away in December of 1993, long time ago. So I only got 13 years with him. Wow. But he was the most loving, giving, like even at his funeral, my daddy owned a car dealership for years, over 30 years till he passed away. All of his customers came because, there was a single mom one time, the down payment was supposed to be $1,000. She didn't have but $200. He said, don't worry about it. Took the vehicle next door to the gas station, filled the car up for her. Like he rarely would repo a vehicle because he just couldn't do that to people. Wow. Like he gave back to his community. Wow. Gave back to people. He was loving, accepting of all people. I never forgot where he come from. You know, he didn't come from a rich family. And then later in life, when he opened up his business and then did well for himself, you would never know it, because he would still have on his Wrangler jeans from Walmart, and you wouldn't see him in expensive shoes or anything. You would never know that my dad was, well off with his finances. My mother, yes, but my daddy,
Were they together?
Oh yeah, they were together until he passed. Really? Yeah. But I don't know how, because they were completely different. Completely different.
So what was that like?
It was wild because, unfortunately, my mama suffers from bipolar, which is totally manageable and maintainable. But she was someone that didn't advocate for herself when it comes to getting better and being better for herself. My daddy was a huge enabler to her. Okay. He was
a people pleaser almost.
Oh, that's all it was. He was definitely that. And he would just kind of tolerate her behavior. Now, I'm not blaming her behavior on her being bipolar. That was just something that sat on the sideline with her. There were multiple times she had to go into a, mental hospital and stayed quite a while. And, it would be just me and my dad, or me and my Aunt Diane would kind of come in and kind of take, because my dad was a workaholic. So he worked Monday through Saturday, and he would only take Sunday off. Yeah. And when Sunday came, she was dragging everybody to church. We had to be at church every time the doors opened up. Yeah, but they were totally different. And I don't know if I'll ever find out why my dad married my mom, because don't get me wrong, she's very beautiful, still is in her older age, very beautiful. I don't know, maybe it was that, but she put him through hell as well as everybody else in the family.
And you too?
Oh yeah,
like, she was. In what way?
Oh, mentally abusive, physically abusive.
Really?
She didn't stop being like physically abusive until I was 13 when he passed. I think I was about 15 was the last time I think that she put her hands on me. And why? Because I was 15 and I was about her size at that moment. Whoa. She wasn't going to touch me like that again. So that's the only reason why she stopped, was because I was becoming a person that could fight. I was no longer that small little child that could take it or had to take it and don't tell anybody. And if you say this, and that's the only reason why it stopped. I truly believe.
I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm fine. You live with it and you go through it, but you don't have a choice as a child.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
So how did you cope with that mental, emotional, physical abuse?
I had my childhood friend. I don't know why I said had, because I still have her. My childhood friend Sarah had the mama that I wanted and needed. And it's so wild because Miss Jenny didn't have much of nothing. She had, these kids at home. She's a single mom. She was either working in a restaurant she didn't have what I had or what my mama had or what my daddy had. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we were always financially okay. Miss Jenny wasn't. But Miss Jenny would open that door at any given moment because she lived in the neighborhood. If I ran down the street in tears, she was going to open that door for me.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I didn't even have to knock on the door. I just opened, just run in.
Yeah.
And she was everything that I needed my mama to be. I didn't need a mama that bought me this and bought me that. I didn't need that. All I needed was a mama that would ask me how my day was when I come home from school. My problem was I would start to get anxiety being on the school bus every day. Like as close as we got to our home, I would feel that anxiety start to build up.
Because why?
Because I didn't know what kind of mom I was going to get that day. Was she going to be in a good mood? Was she going to be throwing things? Was she going to be screaming? Was she going to be hoarded in her room with the door shut that I don't dare open? Like I didn't know, because every day would be different with her, because her moods and personalities would change and you just didn't know. I had learned as a little girl to feel how her moods were. Yeah. And I would do that by saying something like, Mom, you look pretty today. My sisters will vouch for this because they would do the same thing. They would be like, because our mother was very vain. Okay. If you told her she was beautiful or looked pretty, thank you, it would just immediately change. I don't know, it was weird. Yeah. But we would feel her out by just saying something like that. And if she was in a good mood, we were in the go. If she was in a bad mood, she would be like, go clean your room, just say something mean, hateful or something like that. But we would learn how to feel her moods out and just know, stay away, go to your room, don't interact, just kind of back off. So we had to learn those.
Yeah, you have to learn. And now do you feel like you're hypersensitive to everyone's moods and you can, right? It's so true. You had to learn that. It's survival.
That's exactly what it is. It's survival. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. She wouldn't do the physical abuse in front of him, because he wouldn't have it. My daddy wouldn't have it. Wow. So all the physical abuse would always be when he was at work or if he was not at home. Which if he was at work, he would get done. He'd come home. My dad didn't run the roads or anything. Like he was a good old American dad, wouldn't do none of that.
What's run the roads?
Like just run the roads, go to this person's house, go to a bar, none of that.
I like
He'd go
that.
to work and come home.
I'm going to start saying
run the roads.
Run the roads.
I cannot believe you've never heard that.
Never heard it. Never heard it. You heard that? Run the roads?
Are you serious?
I love that. Love that.
You ain't heard that?
You heard that? Run the roads?
Oh my God.
It's like I knew it. When you said it, I was like, like he doesn't go out,
that's what running the roads
drunk.
means.
Yeah, got it.
Running the roads, just out joyriding, just, running the roads.
Love that shit. Run the roads.
Yeah, he didn't do any of that. He just worked in
He didn't run the roads.
Okay. No, he was a great husband. He was a great dad. Yeah. But she gave him hell. Gave everybody in the family hell. She was very hard to deal with. So, when he passed, I was 13 and I'm thinking, how am I going to do this? Because he was kind of like my savior. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like he protected me. Wow. With everything. It just went downhill when he passed.
And then you finally left. When did you leave?
Well, I got pregnant at 15.
Okay.
Which I thought was going to get me murdered by her. Okay. But it didn't. She just threw a Bible at my stomach and told me, I don't forget what. No, she said, "You're on your own with your bastard child." Wow. Threw a Bible at my stomach and said that. And I was like, okay, guess I better get a job now, and which I did. I went and got me a job at the Waffle House and was a waitress at 15 years old, and I ended up turning 16 while I was still pregnant. Have one of the best managers I could ever ask for during that time. It was so weird. It was like the good Lord in the universe put these little people in my path to kind of help me and push me along the way through these tough times. Miss Mina Davis was her name. I don't know if she'll see this. If she does, thank you for everything you did for me at that Waffle House in Theodore, Alabama. But I got a job. Well, I ended up having him. He was premature due to preeclampsia, toxemia. I can't remember which one because all the kids were born early except for one of them due to preeclampsia or toxemia.
How
I can't
early?
remember. Gibson was born a couple weeks early. My third baby was born at 31, 32 weeks.
Wow.
They were early. But so I ended up having him, and unfortunately I went into ICU. You know, when you have preeclampsia or toxemia, the only way to cure is to deliver the baby. And like you or this baby could die because of that.
Okay.
So the only cure is to induce labor and get that baby out. So mom is going to be okay and so is the baby. But I had a seizure after I delivered him and I ended up in ICU. I think at like the third day I'd woken up, maybe third day. And I remember Miss Jenny coming to the hospital and bringing me things that I needed, like shampoo, conditioner, and stuff like that. I didn't have nothing because my mom dropped me off at the hospital. I knew we were out yard selling, if I'm not mistaken, and I knew something was wrong. I didn't know I was having contractions at that moment. I was 16. I didn't know what a contraction was, but I knew something was wrong. And thank goodness she did drop me off because I mean, my blood pressure was through the roof. I had already had protein in my urine. It was really bad.
Whoa.
So she just kind of dropped me off and didn't come back until I was ready to be discharged. But my oldest son, he was about 3 weeks old. She had been gone all day long, which was usually shopping. And she walked in the door, and she come in there, and I was sitting on my bed and I was feeding him. She opened the bedroom door. The second I seen her eyes, I knew this was bad. I knew just be at peace. Something, she's not okay. I knew how to recognize those signs and symbols with her when she was in the middle of what we would call an episode. And she said, "You need to get your stuff and you need to get out of my house." I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. There was no argument prior. There was nothing. She pulls in the driveway, comes in, puts her bags down, comes to my room, opens the door, and says, "You need to leave." I didn't argue because I knew this is not a moment to argue with her. She is not okay. So she wouldn't let me get everything, like my clothes. She wouldn't let me get the baby stuff. She wouldn't let me get anything. And I walked. There were no cell phones back then. This was in 1998. There was car phones, I think, but there wasn't cell phones yet. We lived a half a mile from the neighbor. I didn't have a vehicle. So me and this 3-week-old baby walked to my nearest neighbor, and I called the only person that I knew would come a-running, and that was his biological grandmother, the father's mom, Miss Roxanne. And I said, "I don't have nowhere to go. I don't know what to do. I don't have nothing. I don't know what to do here." And she said, "I'm on my way." And she drove all the way from Biloxi, Mississippi, which is about an hour from Mobile, Alabama, to get me. And I moved in with her, and that's kind of like how my life started, being alone. I was emancipated at 17 after my mother threw me out. About a month later, she found out that I was living with my son's biological grandmother. And my mother was a very jealous person, and she didn't ever want anybody to know how she was behind closed doors. And if you did find out, she would try to change the narrative and be like, "Oh, that's not what happened. She's crazy, or she's on drugs." I can't tell you how many family members that woman said I was on drugs to my life. Like, are you serious? Like, who would say this? No, I've never had any. No, never. Never anything.
Just making shit up.
Anything she ever accused me of was never true. But she had alienated herself and me as a child away from all the family members, you know. So
not to justify it, but I'm assuming she had probably a really rough childhood herself, or no?
I've had a few people ask me that. I've heard stories along the way. Do I think my grandmother was nice to her as a because she was mean as a snake to me?
Yeah.
So how could she be nice to her? So I would believe if somebody said, but
Because how does someone turn out like that?
But you have to think about it. She never bonded with me to even talk about her story as a little girl,
Right.
a teenager, or anything. Like my kids, especially my daughter, they know everything. They know everything. Hell, they even know about, my clubbing days, the dumb days. They know, my kids know because I'm close with them.
Yeah.
And we talk about stuff.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you anything.
Oh, sorry, we got to change the battery. Okay, where were we?
So I, move out at 16, pretty much. Okay. I forgot when I got emancipated. She didn't like people to know like how she really was, and when she heard I was living with Roxanne, she called the juvenile detention center, which is basically kid jail, and lied to them and told them I ran away. And she told them where I was in Mississippi. So 2 days later, the Biloxi police knocks on Miss Roxanne's door. I answered it. I was like, Roxanne, it's the police. And she said, well, answer it. And I answered the door, and they were like, we're looking for Ophelia. And I was like, well, that's me. What did I do? I'm 16,
Yeah.
And that's when Roxanne come around the corner and said, I'm sorry, who are you here for? And they explained that I had been reported as a runaway. And Roxanne had 48 hours or 72 hours to bring me back to Mobile to the detention. And she said, and Roxanne was a force to be reckoned with. She was like, are you shitting me? I had to go pick her up, all this. And, tried to explain to the cops believed us. They were like, look, we believe you guys. We've seen something like this before. Best thing for you to do is show up for court, blah, blah, blah. So the next morning, Roxanne put me and my baby in the car and drove me there, and she was just boo-hooing the whole way there, and she was like, you're going to go back to this abuse, and now my grandbaby's in it, and she was just devastated.
Where was the dad?
He was around. He lived there, but we were friends. We were not together.
Okay.
We had broken up when I was like 3 months pregnant, and I have since forgiven him for his ways. We're still friends today.
Oh, cool.
So we didn't stay together or anything like that.
Okay.
So, she takes me to the juvenile detention center, and when I actually was left there for 3 months without my baby. I mean, she would bring him to me to visit me, but I had to stay in there for like 3 months. It could be 4, I don't know, until court date. And when court came, I'll never forget it. That's when everybody showed up for me. That's when my brother showed up. Which we had the same dad but not the same mom, and he couldn't stand my mama. My brother showed up, his wife showed up, Miss Jenny showed up, Roxanne, my son's grandmother, showed up. It was a big ordeal, and my mother didn't show up because she couldn't. She lied.
Totally.
All she wanted was to see me in there. That's all it was. So I got explained to the judge what happened, and there was a history of this and blah, 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 and the judge says, well, you are almost... you're going on 17 in a couple more months. I mean, do you feel the need to stay with Roxanne, or do you? It was a big deal. Basically, the biggest deal was because she didn't show up. So she was giving her rights away at that moment. I don't know how they did this, but this is what they. So, long story short, I was emancipated at 17 years old, and Roxanne was like, "Done, let's go."
Yeah.
And walked out of there and went with my brother, and he took me to get a hamburger, and I had my baby back and all of that stuff. And then I kind of just led from friend to friend, and when I was about 18, almost 18, I met my other 3, because I had 4 altogether.
Okay.
My oldest at 16, and I had 3 with my ex-husband. But we
Where'd you meet the ex?
I met him at teen night at a club.
Okay, romantic.
I had no business being there. What was I doing?
You were running the streets.
Running the roads. Running the roads. Yeah.
Running the road.
Streets, same thing.
Okay.
I met him there that night. I don't know. He just wouldn't quit calling me like the next day. And I ended up marrying him 6 months later. I fell in love with his family. He was good to my son. Very good.
Wow.
I kind of liked being with him.
Same age?
He was a year older.
Okay.
Year older. And We stayed married like 6 years and ended up having 3 children together.
Wow.
It was very tumultuous.
In what way?
Terrible. There was abuse there, drug abuse on his end.
Okay.
I didn't know for the longest time that he was even struggling. I had no idea he was struggling with pain medication.
Okay.
I had no idea. And then one day he had been out of that medication and couldn't find it somewhere. And I was the attack bunny. And it was really bad. It was really bad.
Like what?
Physical abuse. Yeah, where an ambulance had to be called.
Oh, no.
Like I remember being wheeled into the ambulance and looking back, and I seen my little children standing at the window. My baby girl had her hand on the window, like they were watching me being with, and that was it, honey. That was it. I was like, I can't let them see this. I ain't got a choice but to go.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up divorcing.
Wow.
He didn't get better. I mean, he kind of went on with different type of drugs and stuff. Like he really struggled. He lost his mom when he was 17. And she was like the rock of that family.
Okay.
And he just never healed from that. I know for a fact he never healed from that. And both of us had no business being married. We got married at 18, 19 years old. Neither one of us understood the concept of marriage. Both of us were
like children.
Bringing in more children into the world.
Right.
The best thing to be done was for both of us to not be married and go and find our own lives.
How did you do that with 4 kids?
Well, the one thing about him is that, and him and I, is that we didn't fight for custody. We went and signed our divorce papers and went and had lunch. Like it was just, it was that, it was like that for us.
Yeah.
We did not go by any of you have the kids today and you get, no. If the
So
kids,
what was it?
Whatever the kids wanted. If you wanted to be at dad's house for 10 days, go for it. You want to be at mom's house for a month, go for it. That's how it was.
Wow.
We didn't go by nothing. It was what the kids wanted.
And you were both on the same page there.
Both on the same page.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Stephen and I are kind of similar. You know,
It's so easy that way.
There's no fighting. There's no court. The kids live with me. We both agree that's best. He sees them on the weekends. He takes Alfie out here and there. You know, it just, we figure it out.
You make it your own is what you do. You make it your own.
Yes. But so many people don't ever.
I know.
They fight in court.
I know.
Waste all their money, and it's terrible.
It comes from a lot of hurt from probably both sides, I would think. But there wasn't no hurt from me to him, and there wasn't any from him to me.
How were you able to forgive him?
Because I forgive everybody instantly. I wish I wasn't like that, but I am definitely like that.
I think that's a great quality to have, because it's not like you forgave him and stayed. That would be the...
Well, I did that several times.
Okay.
Because he had multiple affairs on me in that short period of 6 or 7 years. And
how'd you find out?
Oh man,
Give me one.
He would tell me.
Oh
shit. He would feel so bad.
Really?
Believe it or not, Laura, he had a good heart, and he didn't want to hurt me like that.
I do.
He was just messed up in the head.
Yeah.
And just did it. I mean, I honestly think that he had an issue.
Sex addiction.
Honestly believe that, because of the way that he was with me and these affairs, and I really believe that.
Yeah, it's very real, especially if he was addicted to drugs. Like, they kind of go hand in hand. It's not justifying, but it's true.
Well, it's real.
It's real.
And it happens, and it's out there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not something to joke about or play around with. That was my life with him. And he would feel so bad. Like, the affair would go on like 2 or 3 months, and he would feel so bad and say, I got to tell you something. You know, there was one time that my friend Travis found out and told me. And then when I confronted my ex-husband, he admitted it. You know, anytime he was confronted with it, if he didn't tell, he admitted it. Like, it was so many times. And I was just like, I don't understand this. And here I was just being with my husband, but my husband was being with all these different people. And I'd forgiven him a bunch of times.
Wow.
But those babies were getting older at that point.
Yeah.
And they were starting to see things and recognize things. Because if you think your little children are not little sponges soaking up everything around them, people, you got to wake up now. I'm telling you, they listen, hear, and they feel things that you would not even think that they do. They really do. So I knew it was best for me to get the hell out. And I didn't care how bad I was going to struggle. I mean, I left without nothing. I didn't take the vehicle because it wasn't in my name. It was in his daddy's name. I didn't take anything, nothing.
Where'd you go?
I went to my mother's house, actually.
Okay.
I went to my mother because somewhere in that time that I had met him and married him, I had allowed her to come back into my life.
Okay.
She would turn around and do the same thing over again. It never lasted.
Wow.
But during that time, she was in my life.
Okay.
She was in my life.
Okay.
And I am grateful that she was in my life at that moment.
Yeah.
Because she did open her door for me and the kids. We couldn't stay long because she never changed. But in that moment, that was the safe place to go, and that's where I went. And I just kind of went to this friend's house, ended up getting a job, getting myself a car, getting an apartment. Like I was coming up slowly but surely.
Yeah.
But I do think because me and their dad did it like that it helped me. Because I didn't have the kids 24/7.
Totally.
He didn't have the kids 24/7.
Yeah.
He ended up getting a girlfriend that eventually became his wife. She became a stepmom. You know,
How was she?
We were best friends.
Oh, I love that.
We were
I
best
love
friends.
that. Goals.
We were best friends.
And she was good to your kids.
I didn't know at the time that there were some things happening between her and him as far as the drugs. I didn't know. I thought that he had gotten better.
Okay.
But he was not better. Okay. And he had kind of gotten worse when she came in. But I didn't know. They didn't really show any signs of that. But I was also kind of ignorant and didn't really know what I was looking for, I suppose. But she helped out with things like doctor's appointments and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I later found out she struggled with a lot of stuff.
Okay.
Which is why they ended up splitting up before he passed. And I'm so sorry, but my loyalty was with him. And I couldn't, they were about to go through a very bad situation. And I couldn't be what do they call it, Switzerland? You know, in this situation, I needed to be there for him.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. I'll just be truthful.
Okay.
He was recognizing that he was an addict. He was not going to get better staying with her. She was not going to get better staying with him. Both of them needed to get out of each other's lives, go no contact, to heal themselves if they ever wanted a good relationship, because they were feeding off each other. So I would say last 4 years of his life, the back and forth with the kids didn't happen so often.
Okay.
He would go 3 months without seeing the kids. He would go 6 months without seeing the kids. Before he passed, I had a conversation with him. I said, why are you staying away? Why are you not coming to, pick up the youngins? Why are you, what is going on? He wasn't even calling them. If you work too much for a month straight and you can't get to the house to pick up, fine. That's no big deal. I got them. It's no big deal. But he wasn't even calling them. Nothing. There's all the kids have cell phones at this point. And he sat on the phone with me and he was very quiet for a minute. He said, because I am embarrassed. I am embarrassed.
Wow.
They know things now. They're questioning. Like my daughter was questioning him. Why don't you leave this crap alone? She was starting to ask him about his addiction.
Yeah.
And this whole time he thought he was hiding it from her. No, he wasn't hiding it from her. She was just now old enough to express her feelings and her concerns. And once she started to do that, he kind of backed away because he was embarrassed.
Wow. And he admitted that.
And I hate that he felt that way.
Yeah.
I would never look at him as an embarrassment, because I know that he loved them kids. And man, they loved him.
Yeah.
But to know that was one of the conversations I had just like a week before we lost him, just will always stick with me. And he was found in a vehicle in the back seat of his Tahoe with another woman in the front seat. We had no idea who she was. Both of them were unresponsive. They tried to say it was an accident, but the damn vehicle was found in somebody's yard. It looks like it kind of went off the road, but it didn't hit anything when it went off the road. So it's so much more to how he was found and how unfortunately she was found. God bless her family, because we ended up, connecting with them afterward. And I say we, meaning his side of the family, but we'll never know really what happened with that. But that road of addiction is what led to that.
Maybe fentanyl.
there wasn't fentanyl. I studied his toxicology report like I was a forensic anthropologist. Whoa. I studied every page of it to understand what was happening. There was 14 different drugs, and fentanyl was not one of them. Okay. That was in his system. Yeah. The majority of them were already metabolized in his stomach, which were no longer his liver, which the high of that drug was no longer affecting him, okay? So the drugs that were found in his system that could potentially affect him at the moment were things like weed, a muscle relaxer, there was Zoloft in his system. That's an antidepressant. It was the ones that were not metabolized yet were not drugs that would affect him so bad that your vehicle catches on fire, because it was on fire. Your vehicle catches on fire and you don't get up? What? It's the whole thing.
And they both did.
They both.
Wow.
They both. And he was found in his boxers. Why would he be out of his clothes? So then we're sitting here thinking, okay, was he getting hot while she was driving? Was he overdosing on something while she was driving? So you just don't know when it comes to that. It could be so many things, right? Yeah. But I don't know if we'll ever get the answers to that.
Wow.
But yeah, God, man, it would take me hours to sit here and tell you all this. But I will forever be grateful how he and I worked and did the things that we did with our kids. And my kids are grown today, and even my kids will tell you, it was nice that way. We didn't have to fight over nobody. They had, they didn't have to go to 2 separate Christmases. Like, we all spent Christmases together. Yeah. At the family's house and everything. It was nice growing up until it wasn't nice for them when their dad and their stepmom, just couldn't get better, and she became, I don't really want to get too deep because I've never spoken on her, and I probably never will. I don't want her business out like that. Okay. Now, if you were to ask my daughter or my son, they would be like, how many days you got? Because I'm going to tell you everything. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to do that to her. But that's what happened. I was very broken after that divorce. I told myself, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just be alone, and that's it. But
you were swearing off men.
Yep. I didn't want to be with anybody because I was really broken. And I was like, I have these 4 babies. Who's going to want me with these 4 kids? I'm not going to find a good person like that at any time. I was wrong. I was so wrong.
Okay, so
very wrong.
Okay, so what happened?
My girlfriend Tracy, I was living at my friend Greg's house, and my friend Tracy, she was like, you've got to come to this passion party with me, and then we're going to go to a club and blah. And I was like, I ain't going with y'all. I am not going. No, I don't want to do with any of that. Yeah. I'm just, going to stay at home. And she aggravated the hell out of me for a good couple, because we worked together at the time. Okay. And she aggravated me a good couple hours, and I said, fine, I'll go, but you're going to leave me alone, okay? Yeah. And I decided to go, and it was a co-ed party. So it was couples there, men and women, and we had the host there, and the host was selling those products, Pure Romance or something like that. Probably an MLM for all I know. I don't know. It's a little
scammy.
Yeah. Sex toys and lotions and potions and all this. It was hilarious because the games they were playing, and then everybody was drinking. It was a fun time. It was hilarious. It wasn't anything dirty or nothing, but it was just really fun. But it got time to play the games, and I had seen Derek, my husband, today. I kind of seen him across the room. Totally not my type. Short as hell. He had a haircut that I did not.
How short are we talking?
We're both. I'm 5'2". He likes to tell everybody he's 5'2". Don't believe it. He's 5'1". Okay. Because I think I'm about that much taller than him. Yeah. But we're eye to eye, so it don't matter. And my type is taller than me. I love big arms. Like, I've been eyeballing his over there all day. I love big arms on men. I love bald-headed. Like, that's it. That's my type.
You said bald-headed?
Yes. Okay. I don't like any hair. Like, bald as you can get, right?
Do you want to talk about that?
Well, I don't know. I just like bald-headed men. I don't know. It's a thing.
It just does it for you?
It is a thing.
Really?
It is a thing. If a man's got hair, I don't even look at him. But if he's bald-headed with a beard, I'm like, there you are.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I don't know.
Never
I don't know.
That. Never heard that.
And people, when I tell people that, they're like, so you're like Vin Diesel? I'm like, no. He's too muscly for me. I like the normal looking big. I like a big old bearly man.
Flubby, chubby, bald.
Yes, bald headed.
That's it.
Bald headed.
Okay, all right.
And he had one of the most ridiculous haircuts I've ever seen on anybody.
Like what? What was it?
It was
mullet?
like a bowl cut or something.
Okay.
I'd have to show you a picture because I talked him in, after we'd been together for about a year, I talked him into shaving his head, and he was like, no, I don't think it's going to look good. I shaved his head one time. He ain't had hair since because he knew he looked good like that. But anyway.
So you keep him bald?
I keep him bald, and
Wow.
he keeps his beard for me, and he's just, he's very handsome.
Wow.
Very handsome. But the way he looked that night, I don't know, it was something about him.
What do you think it was?
I don't know. They paired us together
Chemistry.
because we were the only single people there, just me and him. And when it got time to play the game, they paired us together to make the game even.
Do you believe in God?
Oh, of course, yes.
Do you believe that, like, you were meant to meet that night?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I believe I was meant to marry my first husband. I was meant to have his children.
Yeah.
I was meant to marry Derek. Oh, yeah. I believe every single bit of that was all meant to be.
It's not a coincidence. Okay. So you were the only single people there?
Only people single.
Okay.
And come to find out, we had the same friends. But we didn't know that we had the same friends.
Okay.
He worked with my girlfriend Renata's husband TJ. They both did electrical work.
Got it.
So like he was friends with the guys and I was friends with the girls, and we'd never seen each other. But I don't know, he was sitting on the couch and the host handed me the blindfold to go and blindfold him. And I leaned down to blindfold him, and I'm telling you, I looked him right in his eyes and I knew instantly I was gonna love this dude one day.
No way.
I didn't know how, I didn't know when. It was like a bolt of lightning had just hit me instantly.
I just got the tingles.
And I don't know why, cause dude, he's my type now. Cause I, made him how I wanted him to look.
You shaved him.
But back then, no, I would have never liked to look twice. Anyway, we played the game. I never laughed so hard in my life. I go to leave and come to find out TJ, Renata's husband, had given him my phone number, which was fine. He ended up calling me the next night. He was like, hey, it's Derek. I met you last night. And I was like, oh, hey, I didn't, ask how you got, I didn't do any of that. I was like, oh, hey, I was excited to hear from him. And we went out on a date, and that was it. That was it.
Now, when you say that was it, did he know? Did you know? Did you both know?
If you ask
the
him,
chemistry, what?
He says that he had seen me earlier that day because we had met at Tracy's house to all ride together, and they were just all outside. He had seen me get out of my car and walk up to Tracy's house, and he said, you didn't know I was standing there, but I watched you walk all the way up the driveway until you walked in Tracy's house. And I was like, no, I didn't know you. He said, oh yeah. He said, I was there that night to meet somebody else, another girl named Haley, I think, but Haley didn't show up.
Whoa.
But I did show up. And he was just like, I don't know what it was. He said, I just thought you were so pretty. I thought you were the most beautiful thing I ever seen. And he said, I don't know either.
And because Haley didn't show up, it changed the whole trajectory of your life.
Yep.
Isn't that wild how that works?
And we're friends with Haley today. We're friends with Haley. We're friends with, Haley was part of that same friend group, and Haley's an angel. She's a good person and everything. But yeah, they were going to set Haley up with him that night, and she didn't show up. And then I had agreed to come to it. But we immediately moved in together. It was like that.
Meaning he moved in with you and the kids?
Yes, at Greg's house. And we were there for about 2 months. And then we had gotten an apartment.
How was it for him going from like single guy, no kids to like 4 children running around?
I know. Isn't that crazy?
Yes. But
never even thought that he would ever meet anybody with 4 small little children or anything like that. But he kind of rolled into it, and I wasn't looking for like a dad for my kid. My kids, they had one, But even he had appreciated how me and their dad like did things. Like you just never knew where the kids was going to be at, whether they be at mine or his. It was just like that, and even he appreciated that. So it still gave us time to continue to get to know each other, especially in that first year of being together.
So that first year was really about you two.
Oh yeah, definitely. And nothing happened where I'd be like, I don't really like this guy. No, nothing. We just continued to grow.
No red flags?
None. No red flags.
No skepticism? No fear that it was going to turn south like the last?
No.
That's something I wrestle with. It can be good now, but what about later?
It wasn't for me, but there was a lot of fear from him.
In what way?
Because he had only had like one, he was 21 when I met him.
Okay.
I was 24
Wow.
or 25. I'm 4 years older than him.
Wait,
so
really?
I'm a little cougar. Yeah, I'm 4 years older than him.
Really? Interesting.
So he was 21. So he had only had one serious relationship before me. And that relationship was horrible. She cheated on him. It was all kind, and he's not a cheater. If you are his friend and you cheat on your wife, he's telling. He's going to tell her. He cannot stand a cheater. He hates a cheater. He don't want anything to do with a cheater. He can't stand
it. Love this guy.
So she cheated and he left. He went on back to, they lived together too, and he went on back to his mom's house or whatnot. So he needed to work on some things in that year. And I wanted to give up on him because he had no trust whatsoever.
He was, okay.
He
Paranoid.
thought if I was going to the grocery store, I had to be going to some dude's house.
Okay.
It was that bad. But
Okay.
I fought with him to fight for him, to show him not everybody is going to do what the last person did. Okay.
Oh my God, girl, I need to hear this.
I would have, like I'm telling you, somebody else probably would have walked away. But when you really know that person is worth it, you will help them in any way heal. And I didn't care what I had to do to help him heal. I wasn't going anywhere.
Wow.
I wasn't leaving. He can think I was doing this. That was okay. And I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that it didn't stress me out at times, because sometimes I'd be like, damn, I just want to get in this car without him worrying that I'm going to go to someone else's house or that I'm doing something wrong. But I would do anything. I would have put a tracker on my phone to help him in some way so that he didn't stress and worry and think. I would have did anything.
Wow.
So after that first year, I could see that he was lightening up. Him lightening up was him being able to trust and being like, okay, you're going to Tracy's. All right, well, call me later. And it just, now it's, okay, you're going to girls' night, I love you. Or either he'll just come with us because they love him too. But I don't want to say I fixed him. No, I don't want to say that. But I just want to say I stayed with him in those very beginning moments of him still healing from that person.
Wow.
And man, I thank her today, because if she wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have him. And when I tell you he's almost a damn near perfect husband, he is almost a damn near perfect husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we just continued to grow, and then now we'll be together 18 years come March.
That's incredible. Would you say that first year was weirdly the hardest, or no? I guess you go
No.
through. Okay.
No, because about 6-7 years ago, we almost divorced.
Now I need to hear this, but we got to change the battery. I'm gonna pee.
Yeah,
Do you have
go
to
for
pee
it.
Anything? You need anything? So
So yeah, we almost divorced.
6 years in, you almost divorced. Why?
No, not 6 years in.
Oh.
About 6 or 7 years ago, we almost divorced.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was getting ready to walk out that door.
And you've been married 18 years?
Yeah, about
Okay,
that time.
okay.
Yeah, something like that. I'm gonna take a lot of blame for my part. And one of the biggest things, I have really threw myself into my career in the furniture store, right? I had given all of myself to this company, and they had rewarded me for that. Okay, I did very well for myself, but I was working 6 days a week, just like my daddy. Working 6 days a week. I was commuting 45 minutes there and 45 minutes back. I was driving to a whole nother county. Like there was a lot going on. It was so bad for us. I would come home from work. He wouldn't say a word. We weren't talking to each other. There was no intimacy, like nothing, nothing. We was arguing about anything that could have come across our path. And I had asked him several times if he would go to marriage counseling. No, I'm not going to do that. There's no point in it. You know, it really got this backlash from him and whatnot.
That was Stephen and I.
So I'm going to tell you what I did. I remember a long time ago somebody said, make them think that they're really losing you. They think that you ain't really going to leave them. So they're not going to change. They're not going to do it. Make them think that you're going to get your butt out that door and you ain't coming back. And I'm like, I don't even know how to do that. Well, it clicked in my mind one day. I drew up some fake divorce papers that I got off of Google, okay? And I said, I'm going to set these heifers on his nightstand, and I'm going to sign them. And when he comes home from work, it's going to look like I have filed for damn divorce.
No, you didn't.
And yes, ma'am, I did. I put them, see, he would get home before me from work. So I left them divorce papers. I printed them out at my office at work and everything. They looked so legit. It wasn't even funny.
This is genius. Take notes, people.
I put them divorce papers right on his damn nightstand, and I went on out the door and went to work. I came home from work. Remember, he had come home before me. And I walked in the door and he stopped me and he said, I love you and you love me. And we can't keep living like this. We're going to have to fix it. And you're worth fixing it. And I know that you know that I'm worth fixing, because I know that you have tried to repair this marriage by yourself for a long time. And I'm sorry for that. Would you go to marriage counseling with me? And I was like, absolutely. Absolutely. And he hugged me, and we separated for 30 days. He went to his mom's house. I stayed at the house with the kids. And we went to marriage therapy. We stayed in marriage therapy. We liked marriage therapy. She gave us homework. I'm telling you, within like 3 months, everything was starting to like change. We learned how to talk to each other. The intimacy is back. Now I can't keep him off of me. Like it's everything was turning around for the better. And like, man, I felt good. My self-esteem had came back. I wanted to see him when I came home. I'd come home, he'd be smiling on the porch, and he'd get up, put the phone down, and come find me. Like everything started to change kind of fast, because like within the first 3 months there was a big change. But those fake divorce papers scared the living hell out of him, and he thought I was really fixing to go.
Wow,
you know?
Wow.
And after all those times that I had begged and pleaded for things to be fixed and changed in this direction, and I never got that. And you know, you can exhaust yourself trying to repair a relationship that somebody else is not trying to help you repair. You cannot fix it yourself. You can't. Sometimes a lot of resentment happens because one person in the relationship is trying to fix everything and the other one is taking advantage of everything. You have to both be fixing it at the same exact time. That way both parties are getting both their needs met. They're getting everything done together. There's no resentment that's being built because you're doing all the work. No, you're both doing all the damn work, and you need to do it, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of couples, you know, they'll do something like you, like maybe not fake divorce papers, but it's like you either work on this relationship or we're getting a divorce. And so the other person does it just because, and then it often goes back to the way it was. That wasn't the case for you. I was
almost, we were in a place of, we were just, okay, this is our marriage and we'll just deal with it.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want to deal with it like that anymore. I wanted to be as happy as I see these people. I wanted him to be my best friend.
Yeah.
And he was not my best friend at that moment.
For how long?
And I wasn't him. It probably went on like that about 3 years.
Okay.
About 3 years.
Okay.
We had kind of let the marriage kind of go down.
Yeah.
You know, trusted kind of, you know, nobody did anything drastic, not that. But I no longer trusted. When I say this, I meant like I always felt like if I would have gotten, like I felt like my husband didn't even love me. I felt like if something terrible happened and I was diagnosed with cancer or something, that I wouldn't even have told him because I would have felt like a burden to him. That's how horrible I felt in the inside from him.
Yeah.
I felt like I was like nothing to him. And man, he gets emotional about it today. He said, I cannot even believe I made her feel like that. I was being selfish in my ways. He was being selfish in his way, in a lot of ways. He has selfish tendencies. He will tell you that. He has selfish tendencies,
and also probably low self-esteem at that time. Like if you can't love yourself, you cannot love anyone else. And sometimes it's just as simple as that.
He was
incapable of loving you because of maybe it was something he was.
That's exactly what it was. We actually talked about that in our therapy because of ways that he was feeling. Because we brought up the fact, and I told the therapist, I was like, he hasn't touched me in months. I feel like he's not attracted. Like what have I done to make my husband not be attracted to me anymore?
Yeah.
And he looked and he was like, it'll never be that. It was not that. It was me. It was my thoughts. It was what I was feeling. I couldn't be intimate with my wife because I felt like my wife didn't love me. Not one time did I ever think about him. Not one time did I ever think about his feelings with that. It was all me. Well, I feel like he's not attracted to me anymore.
Right.
Why doesn't my husband touch me? Why? And it was me.
Yeah.
And not one time did I ever think about my husband. And it was like, hit me in the face with my big ego with that, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, so we stuck with it till about 6 months until we felt like, I think we got the tools, we can kind of do this by ourselves now. And we did, and we have. I cannot tell you the last argument we've had.
Wow. And are your kids close with them? And did you guys have any kids together?
No, we don't have any together.
Okay.
I got my tubes tied after the last
You did?
baby. I didn't want no more. So we didn't have any together.
Yeah.
Kids love him. Now, he probably gets on their nerves sometimes because he's one of those dads that, have you checked your oil lately? He's one of those type of dads. But man, he loves them. Him and my daughter's real close because she's our only girl, or my only girl. Yeah, they love him.
So
they love
one
him
girl
pieces.
and
3 boys. Yeah.
Do you feel comfortable talking about your son who passed?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay.
yeah.
I
I want to.
Press that if.
No, I don't think that I've ever, I don't think I've had the opportunity of going like deep into, because, you know, the world knows my son was murdered. He was shot inside of his vehicle by another individual at a gas station because he was there to sell a bag of marijuana. I mean, the world knows this. This is nothing to hide.
Yeah.
And as more information was told to us, I continued telling everybody else because I wanted people to know. We're not a family that tries to, I mean, who gives a shit? It's weed. Do you really think I care? Do you really think somebody's life should be taken over marijuana? If you do, don't talk to me. After my son, well, my children lost their dad, and this is Mother's Day of 2019. So he passed on Mother's Day. I noticed a difference in my baby child within like a month or two. I noticed like a difference. Depression, he even, a year later, he even came to me and told me that depression was that, Mom, I'm depressed. Even went off to a treatment facility for depression. Yeah, it was up and down with him. One thing's for sure is that I never had like a teenager that was ever disrespectful, slamming doors, or no.
Really?
None of my kids. They would never.
That's exciting. So they maintained a closeness with you, even.
Oh yeah, they would never like.
Love that.
They would never talk to me crazy like that. No, none of them ever did that. So it's shocking when I see that people have to deal with that. Sometimes I'm like, I thank God that none of them, acted that way.
Yeah.
But what I dealt with my baby child was getting into trouble. He would make these ding-dong decisions. Ding-dong decisions. Like why?
I'm going to use that too.
Yeah, ding-dong decisions.
Love that.
And when I say that, I would be he got put on probation a total of 3 times. Why did he get put on probation a total of 3 times? Because he had marijuana in the car. Like my son liked marijuana, apparently, Is it for me? No, I don't have a problem with people who smoke. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
But he had been smoking it since he was, I think, 15, maybe even 14. But he kept getting into trouble. He'd get pulled over and he'd have it in the vehicle. And then he'd go back to juvenile detention center, the same place my mom sent me, and just up and down. And but again, we never dealt with any type of disrespect for any. It was always like, yes, ma'am, I messed up. Yes, ma'am, I'll take my punishment or whatnot.
Yeah.
He dealt with more things mentally and internally than he did, on the outside. But I'm gonna tell you this: the last year of his life was his best. Him and his girlfriend had gotten their own place. He was paying his own bills, had his own car. They lived maybe 10 minutes down the road from me. They found a nice little mobile home that they were renting. I bought them a new sectional for the living room when they moved in, and like everything was going great. He worked out of town. He worked down there in Florida. I think he drove back every 20 days or 10 days, something like that. He loved his job. He got good benefits. He was doing great. When he moved into that trailer, me and Derek went to go see it, and because he invited us over. Y'all come see that right when they moved in. And my son was all my kids are taller than me and Derek because we're so short. But so he kind of overlooked me, and we was getting ready to leave, and he was standing in the laundry room. He didn't have a shirt on, and I went to walk out the door, and I put my hand on his chest, and I looked up at him, and I said, "Don't you do anything to get yourself in trouble where Skylar gets left here to pick up all these pieces." Now, what I meant was, don't get your ass in trouble and go to prison for something.
Yeah.
It never crossed my mind that somebody would take my son's life. That is not what I was saying to him.
Yeah.
I was saying, please, you got a good job now. You got this cute little place. There's no reason for you to be selling marijuana, okay? Which I didn't know if he would be selling it anyway, but I just knew he had gotten in trouble with marijuana in the car. Whether he was smoking it or selling it, I didn't care. I just knew it's against the law in Alabama, okay? And he was like, Mom, I'm not, quit worrying. I'm okay, I promise. So I will never know. I will never know why he decided to meet that young man at that gas station that night. But his friend, well, I don't want to say his name. A friend called him and said, hey, do you have any marijuana? And Brandon said, yeah, I've got a little bit. And he says, well, can you meet so-and-so at the gas station? And Brandon was like, sure, I'll go meet him. Now, I had just spoken to my baby child at 10:30 that morning when I was sitting at the Pensacola airport because my girlfriends were coming in from out of town to come and stay at the Gulf. I wanted them to come to our beach down there in Alabama, Gulf Shores, because it's beautiful. So we were getting ready to go on a girls' trip. Now, we had celebrated my baby child's birthday the weekend before because he was supposed to be going out of town. He was going to be out of town for his birthday.
How old?
He'd been 19.
19.
He would have been 19 years old. And that was on Friday. And I sent him a message and I said, did you get your headlights? Because he wanted new headlights for his car for his birthday. And I got them for him. And I texted him, I said, did you get your new headlights put in? And he said, yeah, Mama, they look good. Look at them. And he sent me a picture of them. And I said, well, I know you wanted those for your birthday, but I sent you a little birthday money. And I sent him some cash on Cash App. And I said, do whatever you want to. And he replied back and said, I'm probably going to use it on bills or something. But which you can do whatever you want to. And I said, okay, I love you. I'm at the Gulf. I'm picking the girls up. And they said, I love you too. And I was at 10:30. And at about 7 o'clock that night, I got a call from my son, Gib. And he said, Mom, Skylar called me. She says she thinks something's wrong with Randy and he's pulled over or something. And I'm like, oh my Lord, he done went and gets pulled over again with marijuana in the damn car. That's literally what I said to my son, Gib. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And I was just so pissed in that moment, thinking, here we go again. And now he's 18 and now he's going to go to prison. No more kiddie jail. I'm being very honest. This is literally everything was going through my mind. And he was like, I don't know, just call Skylar. And about that time I hung up, I get a call from my baby child's girlfriend, Skylar, and she is hysterical. And she is like, I don't know, something's going on. I'm telling you, he wasn't answering the phone, and I looked on the tracker app, and his car hadn't moved for 25 minutes, and I just went by the gas station, and there's police there. And I said, I knew in that moment because she was not mentally thinking correctly, I had to be strong for her. And I'm thinking, maybe he just got pulled over. Maybe that's what it is. We're going to think. I said, that's fine, Skylar. Just calm down. This is what I need you to do because I'm in Gulf Shores. I need you to go to that gas station, find the first officer you see, and all you need to know is if Randon is alive. That's it. We can figure out the rest of it later. That's what I told her. I said, I'll stay on the phone with you. She was like, just hyperventilating.
Yeah.
So she turns the car back around and she goes back to the gas station. And the paramedics, one door is open and one is not, but she still couldn't see in there. And she gets out of the vehicle. She said, okay, I see somebody. I said, just ask him what I said. And she had me on speakerphone and she said, I just need to know if that's Randon Lee in the back of the ambulance. And it was the way the man said this. He said, well, I need to know who you are to him. And I'm like, He's filling out who she is to deliver something. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like I put my house like, that didn't sound right. And I didn't say that, but I felt it.
Yeah.
And she said, I'm his girlfriend, but I got his mama on the phone. And she said, I just need to know if he's alive. And I'm saying it through the speakerphone. I was like, can you just tell us if he's alive,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I hear the officer say, he said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but he's gone. I couldn't tell you anything I did after that.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I spoke to. They said that I called my husband. I don't remember. They said that I called my daughter. I don't remember. They said I called their grandfather. I don't remember anything. I remember pieces of it. Like I remember being in the back seat of the vehicle because we are about an hour away from the beach, which is where the girls and I were at. We rented a condo. We'd only been there just a few hours before I got that call. I remember being in the back seat, and I'm claustrophobic, and I was in the back seat, and my girlfriend was driving. The passenger seat was vacant, and I'm between two of my friends here. And I remember my closest and my best friend today, Lissa, had her arms around me, and I just got out of her arms and I jumped in the front seat. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like I remember moments of that, but they had to take me to the police station. And at that moment, we don't know why. I don't even know if he's been shot, a wreck. He gave us nothing other than he was gone. Wow. And you need to get to Pritchard Police Department immediately. Wow. So when I got they dropped me off at the police station because they had to go back to the Airbnb to gather things, you know. When my baby, I call her my baby niece because she's been my niece since she was 3 years old, but she's 20 something now, 24. She walked me into the police department, and when they opened that door, it was like a sea of my family. You know, my other kids, my husband, my mother-in-law, everybody. And they had been in there, and the detective was, you know, talking to everybody. Yeah. So everybody had details before I had, which is fine. As I understand, I was out of town, or kind of out of town. Yeah. When I walked in, the detective made everybody get out except for me and my husband. And he was like, we don't know why this happened, but your son was shot. You know, he said, we don't know. We're still looking into it. We don't know why he was shot. So what happened was my son went to meet a guy there to sell a bag of marijuana or buy, who knows, we don't even know really. Yeah. The vehicle pulls up, and this was the vehicle the alleged shooter was in. He wasn't driving, he was a passenger. My son pulls up, the passenger gets out of the vehicle, he gets into the back driver's seat of my son's vehicle, and 11 seconds later, the gun goes off. My son stomps the gas, the shooter tumbles out of the car, and my son makes it across the street to another gas station. That's where the vehicle just coasts and stops. And yeah, we don't know why he was shot. We don't know what was said in that vehicle. I don't know if I'll ever know what was said in that vehicle. Again, we don't know if he was there to sell it or buy it. We don't know.
Do they know who it was?
The alleged shooter is in the county jail right now. Okay. Awaiting trial. So he's awaiting trial. And I can't give there has been updates in the case, but I've been forbidden to talk about those updates, but I can say that the alleged shooter's in the county jail waiting trial because that's public information. Yeah. My son didn't know him. He knew of him. Okay. He did call his friend back because we feel like he was already feeling iffy about meeting this person because he called the friend back and was like, hey, is this okay? You know, is this okay? But they're saying that I really think he was there to sell the weed myself because of the story that had been told about so-and-so calls Randon and asked if he had the marijuana. Because this is all tales from everybody else. This is not actually from the detectives yet. But that's really what I believe he was there to sell him a small bag of marijuana, and it was still laying on his lap. We didn't find out till a few days later. We didn't know at that time. That's not what they told us. Yeah. But we found out a few days later that it was still laying on his lap. Wow. So he was shot in the back shoulder, which went through the heart.
I'm just so sorry. How do you feel? Because I remember around that time, and you were so courageous, and you had told the story online, and I was just bawling. I mean,
I couldn't not tell it.
Yeah.
You know, we really think that things like this won't happen to our family. Yeah. I am a prime example of somebody that, you know, is well loved by many people, and you know, they probably think that I'm this and I'm that. I'm not. I'm a normal person like everybody else. And things like this can happen to anybody. Like I actually became one of those parents that I would see be interviewed on television.
Yeah, and you go, that'll never happen to me.
Talking about a tragedy with their child or their family member or something like that. You really think that it can't happen to you.
Yes.
My son come from a good family with good morals, good everything. We might not have been rich, but we had the things that we needed, and we're just middle-class people, you know. I don't know why. I don't know why this would happen to my son the day before his 19th birthday. But I had to tell people because this is life. This is real. This is my life. How could I not tell people? You know, I don't even remember making that video I made that alerted the world. We didn't know who the person was he met. So I wanted my son's killer to know what he did to my son, to my family, what he did to us. And I made a video and I held my son's photo up and I said, look at my son. Like, this is my son. You took my son from me. I don't even remember making that video.
Yeah, yeah.
But if I see that video today, oh, it throws me into, I can't. Lissa said that I had made it about 7, because Lissa was still there with me. She couldn't leave my side. She said I made it about 7 o'clock in the morning and I'd come out of my room and it was like I was literally like talking to myself. You know, it changes you. And I went through all those times of him getting into trouble, you know, back and forth, and he'd say, you know, I'm not going to get into trouble anymore. I'm not going to do this. And I just always thought that this, you know, ding dong would finally learn at about 25, you know, after getting into trouble, he'd straighten up and start his life on the right path. Like my husband Derek did. That's how he was. He didn't really get to, you know, he was making those same decisions as a teenager.
Same. I was just like your
son.
son.
I wasn't perfect neither. I made some stupid ones too, but I don't know. It was different with him. I'll always think of that moment standing in the laundry room and I said, now don't do anything. That'll take you away. But in my mind, I'm thinking prison or something. Because even though he had not been in any trouble in a whole year, which is why I said it had been his best year. He had gotten that good job, he was doing everything we wanted him to do, everything. And, you know, we had asked Skylar, you know, did she know why he would have, and she was like, no, he made good money. Like, you just never know.
What do you think has helped you in the healing process the most?
People. When I opened up about losing him, an entire community of other mamas just kind of flocked to me, which makes me want to do the same thing when I find one. Because it's like this, it's a community in a club that you just never want to be a part of, right? But you know that it exists and you know that she's in it too. And I've had a lot of moms reach out and lift me up, because let me tell you something, I am no more important, and my son's passing is no more important than anybody else's son passing. I just understand that I have a large platform and it gives me this opportunity to talk about him. But when I do that, in doing so, those other moms are also listening. You know, they're also listening with both eyes open and both ears. And, you know, I can't really find the words to tell somebody how to get through that, but I can damn sure show them. And every day I still get up and I do my hair and I do my makeup and I make my bed and I take on whatever day that I'm going to have that day, you know? You have to push through. There's no other way. I have a pretty good life, you know? I have this wonderful husband. He's amazing. He's literally the best.
Wow.
These grown kids. I've got my grandbaby. I have a good life. We are missing one, but it doesn't, you can't stop. You can't stop. It would devastate my children if something were to ever happen to me. It would devastate my husband if something were to ever happen to me. I am living for them, and I am happy to do so because I lived for him just as much, you know?
Wow, that's really beautiful. And you're living for, I mean, I don't know if you're living for all of these people, but you help so many, like hundreds of thousands of people all the time. It's really incredible. What do you think is one of the most powerful response videos that you've done, or one that's stuck with you that you think about often?
Well, I think about that first viral video is that one. Because it really just put me out there to be found by other people that just need that little boost of love, that just need that, I'm proud of you. I think about that one all the time. And I'm grateful for everybody that has come along the way and hung out with me, because they don't leave. When they say they love me, honey, they love me. And I love them too, you know.
Yeah, because you're the mama that so many of us don't have, you know.
And it's crazy because I'm not a perfect one. I'm not a perfect one by any means,
know.
but I am certainly a present one. I am certainly a present one. Most definitely.
And loving and tolerant and kind and compassionate. I mean, you're pretty damn perfect.
I don't know.
Do you have any...
I've cussed them out a few... I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Do you have any regrets?
I'm sure I do. I wish... Yeah, I wish that... I gave my youngins a lot of their own privacy. I never wanted them to feel like I was invading or in their business or whatnot. I feel like maybe I should have been more in Randon's business. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
And maybe I would have found things that could have prevented something, but I didn't want to be like my mama, and I wanted them to have what I didn't. And that's what I wished I had back then when I was little growing up.
I see. Thank you so much for taking the time
You're
and being
welcome.
so vulnerable and open and amazing. You're incredible. You're like even more than what I expected in every way.
Well, I love you, and I would do anything for you, so I'm happy you had me.
I love that you've been like following me since the Steven days, since the
Long
Helen.
time.
My God, that's crazy.
Steven.
Yeah. Where can everyone find you for those who don't follow you?
Well, TikTok is under ShoeLover99.
I love that you kept it.
Yep, that's the biggest platform. And then Facebook and Instagram is under my name, and YouTube is under Ophelia Nichols. Just my regular old smegular name.
Regular smegular.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much, Ophelia.
welcome.
You're absolutely incredible, and we are blessed to have you. Thank you.
I'm blessed to be here. You're welcome.
Yay! We did it!
That's good.
Thank you so much.